Welcome, you're here now. The world has slowed down, and you're free to drift into a quieter place. Tonight, we'll travel far across time, across oceans, to the island nation of Japan centuries ago. The age is feudal. The air is cool. Bamboo creaks softly in the wind. There are no bright lights here, no noise. Only the shuffle of sandals on dirt, the whisper of rice stalks swaying in the breeze, and the ever-present rhythm of duty. This is a story not of samurai sword fights or epic battles, but of silence, of routine, of lives lived quietly beneath the rising sun, between the paddies and the paper walls. Over the next 2 hours, we'll explore 4 layers of this world. First, the worn, muddy footsteps of a peasant beneath a samurai's rule. Then, the poetic tragedy of loyalty and death in the story of the 47 Ronin. Later, we'll listen to the haunting folklore of Edo ghosts, yokai, and bedtime tales. And finally, we'll slip quietly into the walled gardens of the shogun's court, where life moved slowly behind silk screens and silent servants. So if you're ready, breathe in slowly, let your body soften, and imagine yourself in a different time, where each day began with the crow of a rooster and ended beneath a paper lantern's glow. Segment 1. Why it sucked to be a rice farmer in Edo, Japan. Imagine this. You wake before the sun. The room is dark, save for the faint outline of wooden beams overhead. Your bed is nothing more than a straw mat, resting on a cold, packed earth floor. Outside, the sky is just beginning to lighten a pale blue, stretching slowly across the horizon. A rooster calls, another, and then another. You are a rice farmer, living in the Edo period, sometime around the 1700s. And today will be like yesterday, and tomorrow, and the next. Your home is a one-room thatched hut, humble, smoky, and simple. The roof leaks during storms, and in the winter, frost bites at your toes through the thin sliding doors made of paper and wood. Inside, your family stirs. Your wife pulls a kettle onto the fire pit, and your youngest child curls tighter into a woven blanket made from old hemp cloth. The fire smokes, but you're used to it. Everything smells faintly of smoke. Your clothes, your skin, your breath. There's no breakfast yet. First, you check the paddies. The fields are not far, just past the small village shrine and a line of twisted pine trees. They stretch wide and low, like shallow mirrors of water laid across the earth. Even before the sun rises fully, you're knee-deep in the water. Mud squelches between your toes. The cold bites. Mosquitoes buzz in lazy circles. You bend forward, again and again, planting the rice shoots by hand. This is not a life of progress. There are no new techniques, no innovations, just repetition. You farm, not for yourself, but for the daimyo, the local lord. Most of your harvest will be taken as tax. Rice is currency here, and though you grow it, you rarely eat it in abundance. You and your family survive on millet, barley, pickled radish, and when lucky, thin rice gruel flavored with miso or soy. You are not allowed to leave your village without permission. You cannot carry a weapon. You cannot own land, but you bow when the samurai pass by on horseback, and you bow deeply. You must. Their swords are sharp, their tempers sometimes sharper. Still, not all days are bitter. Sometimes, during festival season, lanterns line the village paths. Children chase each other in wooden geta sandals. Old stories are told around the fire of fox spirits and weeping ghosts. A traveling monk may arrive, sharing calligraphy and quiet wisdom. These moments, they are brief, but they matter. Back to the field. You pause to straighten your back. The sun is higher now, warming the mud. Insects hum louder. In the distance, the temple bell rings a low, earthy tone that echoes across the village. You think about the rhythm of your life, the predictability of it, the sameness. There is peace in that, even if there is no freedom. In the evening, you return home. You scrub the mud from your legs using cold water from a shared well. Dinner is hot, if small. Your wife hums while she prepares a few pickled plums. Your eldest child has been learning kanji from a retired monk. You feel something close to pride. Night comes. The cicadas drone gently in the trees. The paper walls glow faintly from a flickering oil lamp. You lie on your mat. Your muscles ache, but you are too tired to feel pain. Tomorrow will be the same, and that, somehow, is enough. The tragic tale of the 47 Ronin, loyalty and silence. Now let us move from the muddy paths of the peasantry to a quieter, more shadowed tale, one whispered in tea houses and temples alike. A story not of war, but of loyalty. Not of glory, but of patience. This is the tale of the 47 Ronin, a story etched deep into the soul of Japan. The year is 1701. The Edo period is stable, perhaps even serene on the surface. The shogun rules from his imposing seat in Edo, modern-day Tokyo, and under his wide net of control, the samurai class still endures. But they are not always warriors now. Peace has dulled their swords, and many have become bureaucrats, administrators, or wanderers. You are about to enter a quiet tragedy. The story begins with Asano Naganori, a young daimyo lord of the Ako domain. He was assigned to host and assist imperial envoys visiting Edo Castle, a prestigious but complex task. To help, the shogunate appointed a senior official named Kira Yoshinaka, an older, more experienced man known for his demanding manner. Tensions brewed. Kira, it said, expected lavish gifts from Asano brides, really? But Asano, proud and perhaps naive, refused. Their interactions grew cold, then hostile. Kira mocked Asano, belittled him in public. And one day, inside the solemn halls of Edo Castle, Asano snapped. He drew his short sword and attacked Kira, wounding, not killing him. It was an unthinkable breach. Drawing a weapon within the shogun's palace was a grave offense, regardless of provocation. For this act, Asano was ordered to commit seppuku, ritual suicide, that very evening. His lands were confiscated, his family cast into disgrace. Just like that, his retainers became Ronin masterless samurai. Now imagine you are one of those men. You served Lord Asano with quiet loyalty for years. You've shared tea with him, guarded his residence, bowed to his household gods. And now he is gone. Your sword, once a symbol of service, hangs heavily at your side. You have no master, no stipend, and no honor. But in this void, something stirs. Under the leadership of a senior retainer named Oishi Kuranosuke, the former samurai begin to meet in secret. They scatter, appearing to lose their purpose, some pretending to become drunkards, gamblers, or monks. All the while, they wait. They plan. For over a year. Then, one winter night in 1702, they strike. In the early hours, they storm Kira's Edo mansion, overwhelming his guards. Kira hides in a small courtyard storage room. They find him. They give him the chance to die by his own hand and honor. He refuses. So, Oishi beheads him with the same dagger Asano used to take his life. Then they walk calmly in the snow to Asano's grave. They clean the blade. They place Kira's head before their lord's tomb, and they wait for judgment. They are arrested, of course, but the public, oddly, reveres them. Their story spreads quickly of loyalty upheld, of vengeance performed with quiet dignity. Eventually, the shogunate decides. The 47 Ronin are sentenced to seppuku, a samurai's death. Each man is permitted to die with honor, kneeling in calmness, before the same blade they had followed into revenge. Today, their graves still stand at Sengakuji Temple. Every year, visitors come and lay incense sticks by their stones. The smoke rises slowly into the winter sky, and the air is thick with silence. Their story is not loud. not heroic in the Western sense, but it is deeply Japanese, filled with restraint, quiet devotion, and a kind of tragic peace. Sometimes honor lives longer in sorrow than in triumph. The ghosts, demons, and everyday fears of Edo. Let us now step into the quieter corners of the past, into the dusk-lit alleys and shoshi-screened homes of Edo, where the physical world was only half of what people knew. For while the rice paddies and castle walls were real, so too were the whispers, the unseen, the things that stirred just beyond the paper-thin walls at night. This is a world shaped not only by sword and scroll, but by folklore, by shadows. Close your eyes and imagine yourself in a wooden house on the outskirts of Edo in the 18th century. A paper lantern flickers beside you. Its light is soft, but it does not reach every corner. The sliding doors creak slightly in the breeze. Beyond them, perhaps, only in the mind you sense movement. You wouldn't be alone in this. In Edo period Japan, belief in ghosts, demons, and supernatural forces was a daily reality. Not necessarily feared with terror, but accepted, understood, woven into the rhythm of life, especially by the common folk, and especially at night. Take the yorei, for instance. These were the restless spirits of those who had died with unfinished business. Women betrayed by lovers. Samurai who died without honor. Peasants murdered unjustly. A yorei might be seen in a long white burial kimono, with hair hanging limp and black over her pale face. She would drift silently through walls and doorways, hands dangling, searching for peace. Offerings were left for them, sometimes prayers, but the fear never fully left. Or consider the oni, not spirits of the dead, but beings in their own right. Massive creatures with red or blue skin, fangs like tusks, and iron clubs. They were said to punish the wicked, roam mountain passes, or guard gates to hell. Children were warned to behave, lest the oni come. Yet not all beings were malevolent. The Zashiti Warashi was a ghost child, said to live in storerooms or attics. If you saw one, it meant good fortune, but only so long as it stayed. If it left your home, so did your luck. Then there were the kappa, river creatures with turtle shells and water-filled heads. Mischievous, sometimes deadly, but also strangely polite, offering a bow if you did. If you bowed back, they'd spill the water from their head and lose their strength. These stories were not told to thrill. They were cultural threads, reminders of morality, caution, and the thinness of the world. Many were shared in summer, during Heiaku Monogatari, the telling of 100 ghost stories by candlelight. After each tale, one candle was extinguished. As the room darkened, so did the stories. Some never reached the 100th. Even the samurai were not immune to fear. They too had rituals. If one passed a burial ground or shrine at night, he might utter a short chant or place a coin on the gate. Not from weakness, but from respect. The boundary between worlds was delicate. And when disease came, cholera, smallpox, famine, many believed it wasn't only germs. It was the work of okei, spirits of imbalance. Priests would walk the streets with bells, ringing away bad fortune. People placed amulets by the door or painted images of protective deities on their walls. Edo, for all its order and routine, was a city alive with unseen things, but it wasn't hysteria. It was etiquette, a respect for mystery, a quiet acknowledgement that there was always more beneath the surface. Just as you sit now, surrounded by the hum of your own time, they sat then beside candlelight, listening to the soft rustle of bamboo, wondering whether it was wind or something else. And in the end, it didn't matter which. The moment passed. The candle flickered, and they returned to silence. Inside the golden walls, the privileged life of a daimyo's household. No, let us drift upward away from the muddy fields and spirit-haunted alleys toward a different world entirely. Step through a lacquered gate, past rows of cherry trees, groomed with near ceremonial care. You are now within the domain of a daimyo, a powerful feudal lord, second only to the shogun himself. If you were lucky or perhaps unlucky in birth, this might have been your world. Imagine your sandals brushing against smooth tatami mats, every surface polished, every footstep absorbed by silence. The air smells faintly of cedarwood and incense. Everything here is deliberate, each scroll on the wall, each vase of chrysanthemums placed just so. Even the shadows are curated. This is not just wealth. It is power ritualized. The daimyo's residence was more than a home. It was a political theater, a fortress of etiquette. To be born into it was to enter a life governed by strict formality. The correct bow, the proper seating. Even the way one turned in a hallway, never showing one's back to a superior, was codified. A daimyo's wife, often of noble lineage herself, presided over the inner quarters. Her days were structured by rank and ritual. She would receive guests, manage servants, oversee the upbringing of children, especially sons, who might one day inherit title and land. But her existence was not idle. It was confining, bound by endless propriety and observation. There were eyes in every screen, ears behind every door. And the children, if you were a child of the daimyo, your days were not carefree. You would wake early, bathe, dress in layers of silk, then study calligraphy, Chinese classics, poetry, martial discipline. Even at a young age, your every word reflected your house's reputation. Meals were elegant but restrained. Rice polished to near translucence. Seasonal pickles. Fish carved with reverence. To eat with too much noise, to reach too quickly, to misplace your chopsticks. These were small shamus, but shamus nonetheless. You did not laugh too loudly. You did not run through the corridors. You bowed. You listened. You obeyed. Behind the scenes, hundreds of retainers served the household cooks, scribes, warriors, concubines, tutors, and more, each with a role, each with a place. The daimyo himself often lived apart from his wife and children, ensconced in matters of state or strategy. He might be called away to Edo under the system of Senken Katai, where lords were required to alternate years between their domains and the shogun. Escort a clever way to prevent rebellion by keeping them financially and emotionally tethered. And when the daimyo traveled, it was not quietly. He moved in a procession that could stretch for miles. Attendants in matching livery, horses, palanquins, flags bearing his crest. Roads were cleared, townsfolk bowed. No one dared to stand in his way, but such splendor came at a price. Though lavish in appearance, daimyo households were under constant surveillance by the Tokugawa shogunate. Extravagance could draw suspicion. Spending too little could imply weakness. They were rich, but rarely secure. One wrong word, one rebellious whisper, and everything could be seized. In the end, even the gold-leafed walls held their own kind of prison. And so, as you lie there now, perhaps imagining the sheen of silk or the quiet dignity of a tea ceremony, remember that life behind the palace gates was not so free. It was measured, controlled, beautiful, yes, but also stifling. A peasant's hut and the daimyo's palace. Two different worlds, yet both deeply bound by the same invisible threads: duty, hierarchy, fear of dishonor, and the rhythm of a tightly woven society. And so, your journey through Edo period Japan comes to a close. You have walked through rice fields under heavy sun, lived among whispers of ghosts, followed the rise of a masterless samurai, and stepped carefully through the stillness of noble halls. Each life was different, each hardship unique, yet all were part of the same tapestry. A world of wooden sandals and folding screens, of fermented miso and lantern-lit shadows, of silence and duty. Now, in your own quiet space, wrapped in the comforts of the modern world, you can let their stories drift away like incense smoke curling into the rafters. Thank you for listening. May your rest be deep and your dreams peaceful.